Hello, this video will help you to understand how to import a video into the Tracker app and then how to analyze motion that's displayed in the video. So first of all, we're going to open a video file. This is a file that I uploaded earlier. It's called Kinematics Ball 1. And we'll open that. And Tracker imports that file. Take just a moment. All right, the first thing I want to do is figure out which section of the movement that we're going to highlight. So down here, you see these black triangles down in the bottom of the Tracker window, and you can get that thing, and we're going to drag it over until we see the ball enter the video. There it is. Just a little bit more. Okay, and then, so that's going to be the beginning point of the analysis. That's how we set up the beginning point of the analysis. So that is the start frame, as that pop-up shows there. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with the black window at the end, and we're going to go to where the ball leaves the frame. And we'll get there, right there. Okay. So that's the first thing. So let's go back to the beginning there and we'll start the video and see how that shows up. So there's our motion. Okay, now the next thing that we have to do is set up a calibration stick. So if we go up to the top here, we see this icon. And that's our calibration stick icon. So we're going to create a new calibration stick. And it says that we need to shift-click the mark. Now, I'm going to use this meter stick that's in the image to do that. And so I need to zoom in a bit. I'm going to zoom into 200%. I'm just going to move over here to this window. And you can see that I can see from 20 to 30 centimeters. So I'm going to start here at 20 centimeters. I'm going to shift, line that up and click. And then I'm going to go up to 30. And shift click there. And then in this window, I'm going to say that that is 0.10 meters. Enter. Okay, so that's our calibrated distance in our video. Now we can zoom back out and we see our calibration stick there. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a point mass. So creating a point mass, and this ball is our point mass. So I'm going to point my pointer about the center of that tennis ball. I'm going to hold down the shift key and try to move that cursor into the middle of the tennis ball and then left click. And then you can see that it moved the ball ahead to the next frame, and I'm going to do that again. And then I'm going to do it again. And again, each time I'm doing this, I'm trying to center the icon in the ball. It's a little jumpy, so sometimes I'm not going to get it perfectly. And then up to the upper right of my frame here of the video, you can see that Tracker is creating a graph that describes the position of this ball. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And I'm going to keep on doing this until we get to the last frame of the section of the video that we are choosing to analyze. So this takes a little while. It's instructive to see how we do this. Each time I'm holding down the shift key, I'm moving the cursor to the center of the ball, and then I'm left clicking my mouse. And we're almost done. You can see that we've collected 24 data points at this point. And Tracker will tell us when we have collected our last one. And that's it right there. So altogether, we've collected 27 data points. Okay, so let's view the video again. Go back to the beginning. And now I'm going to hit play. And you can see that tracker follows the ball. Okay, so now going over here to the plots, you can see it gave us down here in the lower left corner, we have the table, and starting from time t equals 0, you can see that the time increment is about 1/3 of a second. So what am I talking about? It's even less than that. It's 0.033. 1/3 of a second would be 0.333. So it's 10 times less than that. So it's 1/30th of a second. So here's another 30th and another 30th. So the tracker video is dividing this video up into 30ths of a second. Okay, so now there are a number of things that we can do here. Notice that we can do this. If we click on, we have the labels that are on the graph up here in the upper right-hand corner. If we click on that, it gives us a drop-down of all the different things that we can measure here. Now, in reality, the tennis ball is moving in the y direction. So let's find out what happens if we click on the y position. Aha! Ooh, we see a rather smooth curve. Okay, so this is a position versus time graph. We have the y position on the vertical axis, and we have the time on the horizontal axis. And we did a fairly decent job. You can see that there's not a lot of jumping around. Right? If we zoom in, you'll see a little bit more variability, and it's not quite such a smooth curve. But at this level, it looks like it's a fairly smooth curve. So that's our position versus time graph. Now we can also look at the y velocity component, and that is interesting too. Now here we see a lot more variability, and that's because when we were tracking the ball, putting the point mass markers on the ball, right? I wasn't quite sure exactly that I was at the center of the ball, and also keep in mind that the ball is rolling. So that means that tracker might be sensing part of the ball that's moving up toward the camera, or it might be sensing part of the ball that's moving away from the camera. So if it's moving toward the camera, you're going to get parts of the graph like this where the velocity seems to be increasing. But on the other hand, where the ball is, if the tracker point was, the point mass marker was on the part that's rolling away from the camera, then you might see something like these 3 dots where it's going down. But what's more important here than the variability that's taking place is the overall trend of the velocity. Right? So the ball is starting up here at about 0.48 meters per second, and by the end of our interval that we are analyzing here, it looks like it's getting down around 0.32 or less meters per second. So overall, what's happening is that the horizontal velocity, or the velocity in that y direction, is decreasing. That means that it's decelerating, or it's an accelerated motion with negative acceleration. And we'll be talking about that in our class. So one last thing about this tracker app, right? We can start up here. Notice that if I click on that, it highlights it highlights the row in the table that corresponds to that first point. So then I can click on the next one, and it moves to the next row. And the next one. Now, we're going to use this later on to collect data that we can analyze using regression analysis. And this is an important skill as well. It's something that we can do with our iPad or Chromebook, or there are various apps that we can use to do this. We can also use the TI graphing calculators like the TI-84 or the TI-83 or 81. So we'll talk more about this in the future. Okay, and that is it for this video.